Alright, we had to switch rooms and we're going to continue our discussion now. I have another question. How does the author compare and discriminate between the different ideas that were introduced in the book?
He doesn't really talk about other religions, and like if Colton really, since they are Protestant, what if Colton thought of a different religion and it was totally different than what the father thought?
Yeah, that's a good idea, because what if the God he saw wasn't the God that everyone else thinks he saw, Jesus' father? What if that really isn't the person he saw?
Kind of makes you think about the different religions, not even, I mean, just religions that aren't Christian. There's a lot of religions that don't believe in Jesus Christ, and what happens to all of those people related to heaven?
Well, yeah, because Colton kept saying, did he believe in Jesus? Did he believe in Jesus? Because if you don't believe in Jesus, you're not going to heaven. And he kept stressing that idea to when he heard of different people dying, and how they couldn't take him to, funerals. They couldn't take him to funerals because otherwise he would completely stress out. Did he believe in Jesus? Did he believe in Jesus? Well, it makes you think, what happens to the other people that believe in the different religions that don't believe in Jesus or something else?
And there's probably a big population of people, I wish I knew that, but I think there's a lot of other religions that don't have Jesus Christ as your Savior, so it does bring up other questions, I think, as you read this.
There's so many different religions in Asia, Europe, India, and all that stuff.
And then Colton, he was like, they have to believe in Jesus, and there's no other religion that you can think, or that you can believe in. You have to believe in that.
He was very specific about that.
You know, it makes you kind of think, because Colton believes in Jesus, and when he supposedly died in the hospital, what if someone else believes in something else, and after they die, they go to where they believed when they were alive?
That makes you wonder if there are other books out there from other religions about people who've had death experiences that were not Christian. That would be interesting research.
What their story is.
And it would bring up some controversy about what they think, and people would probably argue about, like, that their kid is right or whatever.
That their religion is right.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know if anyone had any thoughts about how Colton confided in his babysitter about him seeing his stillborn sister in heaven. Did anyone have any thoughts about that?
I just thought it was weird that the unborn baby wasn't even alive. It never was, and he still saw it in heaven, and they didn't even make a name for it. And
yeah, I remember when he came back, and the mom, Sonja, asked, well, what was her name? He's like, she didn't have a name. You didn't name her. So she's waiting in heaven for you to come up with a name for her.
It was interesting that she had like an age. It was younger. I can't remember how old she was. But
a little younger than Colton, I think.
Yeah, so it was like maybe a toddler or so. But what made that age for her? You know, that made me think. And then there was, I think it was the grandpa that he had never met, and he saw him in heaven. I think did they call him Pa? And then he was younger. So what makes that age? And here's this, like you said, Adam, here's this stillborn baby, but then here she comes out as this little toddler who's able to talk, and, you know, it brings up other questions.
Yeah, well, I thought that maybe it was like how old she would be if she was born.
Oh.
And
it's based on the timeline of the story of when this was written?
She would have higher intelligence of her age then if she was able to have a conversation with Colton.
She would have been older than Colton.
Oh yeah,
yeah, she would be.
But that brings up Colton being not even 4, and if he's having these kind of discussions, again, it does make you wonder, is this child gifted? How real is this? How much is the dad pulling out from him from years gone by? Because this happened, the questioning happened over several years. And as he got older, did he make some of this up as he knew more about, because they obviously studied and went to Sunday school and that was their whole life, so he would hear more stories. Did he suddenly remember more, or did he really remember it?
And then every night they said that they read some part of the Bible, and that makes you think that maybe he like remembered it from what they taught him.
Because you can force memories sometimes, I think sometimes.
And in kids they can talk about it like it's real. It could be an event that never even happened.
Right.
And it's so easy because the mind always wants to complete stuff that it would just make up the memories to complete the things that he's hearing about in the Bible, so he would have a full story that he could understand of what he went through.
Being the dad and that was my child, and him bringing up the unborn sister and the grandpa that he never met was the most interesting, shocking, I guess, news, that you had to take time and think about it and then come back to Colton and ask him backup questions, I guess, to get more information about it.
Your turn.
Do you have some more
What?
talking
Your
points?
turn.
Oh, okay. What are your thoughts about why the first doctor was wrong about Colton's appendix?
I just think he was a bad doctor, really. It's kind of not that hard of a diagnosis to come up with that his appendix is bad and you need to take it out, and it shouldn't be that hard to diagnose that.
And
But-
we even pointed that out
Yeah.
two times, if not more, that, are you sure it's not his appendix?
Yeah, because I remember that ran in your family or something.
Yes.
Yeah, that you would think that this book didn't happen that long ago. So I mean, this whole experience was probably within the last 10 years.
Right.
So why wouldn't you, if you
Check
come, check that as the
Yeah.
first thing you check, especially since the symptoms matched.
He
Yeah.
said that was the first thing, but he said there was no way that could be that. He said there was,
The white blood cells.
there was no way that his appendix could have burst, and that
Yeah.
was
Maybe it was just
Questionable.
fate that the only way he was going to go to heaven and experience what he experienced was going to the better hospital that they went to.
If they wouldn't have caught that, then would he have had this experience?
That makes you wonder.
okay. And then, what talking about Colton? What do you believe that he died or not when he went to heaven?
I think that he did die during the surgery, but then, like he said, Jesus made the doctor fix him so that he would come back to life, supposedly. Just because how else are you going to have this experience? Because nobody else really feels anything when you're under sedative like that.
Yeah, it said in the Bible that like some people did like talk to God and went to heaven, but they didn't die. So I'm guessing this is like something like that where they experienced that.
So you think he was still alive in some sense?
Yeah.
I believe that it wasn't Colton's time to go, so that he had some kind of out-of-body experience, or you could call it dying for a period of time, but he definitely went to heaven.
And I think I need to read more books about it because there's just so many questions as I read it. I mean, it's just hard because I'm a little skeptical of the fact that it took so many years to write this and he didn't record a lot of the information. And I mean, I think it's convincing in a sense, but
Yes.
I think I would want to read more from
Right.
other people
Find
and
more.
even from other religions like we were talking about.
Yeah, and find more research on it.
Maybe Colton supposedly dying was kind of fate. Maybe his not his time to go. Maybe it was his destiny in life to spread this news so that people would keep questioning and want to know more about heaven.
Almost like another prophet.
Yes.
Did you have some more questions?
Although many people may support Colton's ideas, some people may have different opinions about heaven. How can you explain to me why others should follow the new ideas about life after death based on Colton's experiences?
They really should just believe in what they believe. You really have to believe in Colton to believe that he is telling the truth and actually had this experience. If you don't believe it, then just don't, because it's ultimately your religion that you're believing in. It's how you live your life.
Like what you're saying, it's kind of hard to believe a 4-year-old and
Yes, some people might criticize that because really how credible is a 4-year-old, and
Yeah.
nobody will ever really know.
could be just his imagination. And
But on the other hand, how could he get that detailed of Jesus wore a white robe with a purple sash and everybody else had a blue sash, and he talked about, like you said before, about the colors, and
Yeah.
how could he get that detailed if he's only 3 or 4 years old?
Or is he just this amazingly creative person
Yeah.
who, there are those people out there that just active imaginations that could tell you something, and he's probably seen so many pictures, and I don't think the dad realizes, I don't think the pastor realizes how much that child might have absorbed, that he's like, well, my son never would have had that in Sunday school, but maybe he did have that
Right.
something in their house.
Yeah.
Maybe there was that picture, maybe there was whatever it could be. I always had that little bit of skepticism.
Assess why you asked Colton about heaven the way you did, and were you trying to find the full answer about heaven by giving him basic knowledge, or were you just trying to figure out how to explain it on his own?
I think that you were just trying to get Colton to tell you. You wanted Colton to tell you what he actually thought. You didn't want him to give answers to you that he thought that you wanted, that this is the answer my dad wants, so I'm going to tell him this. You wanted him to elaborate himself. You lead him into answering the questions on his own.
Right, that's why I had to take breaks and then come back to Colton and ask him different questions, because I had to think about how to come about it in a roundabout way. So just like you said, not to give him the answer, but to get him to give me the answer.
Doesn't that relate to one of your questions that you had
What?
coming up?
I think so. Okay. So Colton's new experiences about heaven have released new theories about life after heaven. Can you conclude that some people may try to kill themselves to get back with their loved ones who have died in heaven?
Some people may, if they really believe in what Colton says, they will think that if they die, they're going to go to heaven, but you really have to be sure. And like Sonja said, that it was not Colton's time to go, because parents should die before their kids. It's not the way that they believe that kids should go before their parents. It's not the way it should be.
But they also, both of the parents wanted to be the ones to die first because they wanted to, like, see their relatives and then their unborn child. And
Yes,
go
they,
back.
yeah, it's just the way that things work. Parents are supposed to die before their kids. They're supposed to see their kids grow up, be happy, and then the parents are supposed to die. That's just the way that they believe the world should work.
It does bring up controversial issues. I mean, when you think about how this could relate to someone who's very ill and living a very difficult life, and would they then want to die early so that they can go to heaven? And
Yeah.
that could bring up other medical types and ethical types of controversies based on this.
And it makes you wonder, will they actually get to heaven? Because if you really are living a suffering life and you just want to get out of it, really, is it selfish to take yourself out and not live through it? Because if you're living in it, it's your destiny. You're supposed to live like this. You can change it, but it's ultimately your option.
Many people may continue to say that their tradition beliefs about heaven and God comes to be. What ideas can you compare with Colton's ideas about why some people may discriminate about Colton's explanation of heaven?
Well, they just may not believe him. He's a 4-year-old, and they'll just, you really, once again, what can you take from a 4-year-old other than you just kind of have to believe that this is true?
Maybe like that leap of faith you have to take.
Yeah,
Right.
it's something you'll never know until you're there.
And you'll have to try to do something, and you can't just sit there. You have to decide if you want to believe him or not.
Should we give our ratings?
Are we at the end?
Yep.
Alright, I really like the book and I would recommend it. I would give it a 9 out of 10 for my rating of the book.
I'd give it a 7. It was very inspirational, and it told me more about heaven and what people believe in.
I also really liked the book. I liked Colton's ideas about heaven and how he brought up people that have passed on that he never met. That really intrigued me. I would recommend the book. I would give it 8.
Well, I'm going to agree with you and give it an 8 also. I liked it a lot. It made me think a lot, and it made me think about what else I want to learn about the world and other religions and other experiences that people had. So I thought it was really easy to read. It was a quick read, and interesting family that they talked to, the whole family. You learned a lot about them, but it was very light reading in a sense, but also made you think a lot.
It made you want to know more.
Yeah, so it was a good. So we all agree?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good book.